Hi, I'm David Dobson. Welcome to Conversations. Today, my guest is Dr. Park Thaichon. We will be discussing academic writing, publishing, and peer reviews. Park is an associate professor of marketing at the University of Southern Queensland. Park received his PhD from Swinburne University. Park's focus is on digital marketing, relationship marketing, and consumer behavior. It's a great pleasure to have you with me today, Park.
Thank you, David. I'm also very happy for myself to be here as well. And hello, everybody who are listening to this.
Park, you published in academic journals quite often. And according to last year's scholarly output, you are the most published marketing author in Australia. What inspired you to keep writing?
Thank you for the question. So what inspired me to keep writing? So apart from my own personal interest that I like to do, explore some of the research in the consumer behavior and the science or in the technology aspect, another strong motivation that I do with my PhD student is that I will ask them if some of them want to get a job in academic after their PhD. And if so, for those group of the people who want to do get a job in, say, in Australia, they need to have some publication. So one of my strong desire to explore and to do research, to do paper, is to also to work with my student to make sure that they will get a job by the time they finish their PhD. So that is part of the job ready program that I have planned with my PhD student. So apart from the journals that we do, we also do industry project and among other things as well. But publication is one of the tick that everybody who want to be in academy have to do when they they study their PhD with myself. So that is one of the strongest motivation for the job hunting for the student, and also that is something that I really want to explore and expand and do some study around a few things that I have been doing. Yeah.
Great. How do you come up with the topics for your research papers or projects?
Yes, so that is a good question. So there is a number of ways that I come up with in terms of how do I come up with my topic. So first strategy is I do what I feel interested in. Okay. So that would be about AI, or would be about privacy reason, as in like privacy issue, how to fix that, how to prevent some of the problem, or it could be some of the strategy area focus of my university. They might have an area of focus that they want to do something in particular, or sometimes I do some project that is answer some specific grant reason, like I might have some grant in a certain area, so I need to have some project in those area. Another strategy that I do is to look at what are some of the call for paper. So I look up some of the top marketing journals because I'm from marketing or management area. I look at the call for paper. Right. So I see what would be in trend at this moment, and then I create papers or project according to what is in trend, and also link to my team interest as well. Yeah, so that would be how I come up with the topic.
Very nice strategy. Thank you for sharing. What advice would you give to new author who wishes to write a research paper?
Yes. So first advice I give to most of the people would be that when they write an article, they should write an article that have an impact in terms of the practical implication that some real businesses can actually use, or in some case could be customer who can learn from it, or the government can learn some policy making of it. Apart from that, it need to have some theoretical implication. Okay. And most importantly, it had to be written in a way that is want to let human read it. So, there's a lot of paper that is written, the finding is very amazing, but the way it's written is very hard to follow and all that. Yeah. So one of the first rules that I tell myself and my candidates is that they have to written in a way that a 15 years old should be able to understand. Given that there are some main keywords, but it should be able to, the flow of the paper should be good. It should be easy to understand. It should be easy to adapt for the business people to adapt those knowledge into their, their learning or their business practice. So it should be able to, link to everybody.
Cool.
Yes.
Is there any stage when you should start writing?
That is an interesting question. Let's say if it come for a special issue, let's say if a journal looking for, papers for their special issue, the perfect time, I would say at least 8 months before the special issue due, because I would prefer to, let's say, have a draft and then send the draft to the guest editor, ask for what would be some of the way that I can improve or enhance the value into the paper. So if I have some time, gap to windows of time to play around, then at least I can get some good feedback and improve the paper before we submit. If it's a paper that I feel interest of my own interest, then that would be, I can start anytime. But what I normally do is I would look at the news. I would talk to my business friends who are like a CEO or marketing director of some business. I tend to ask them what's keep them awake at night. What are some of the problems that they feel like need to be solved? So I try to hear what the real world need to be solved, problem that the real world need to be solved, and then create a project according to that, and obviously linked to my interest. So that is a very good strategy that I tend to use. And but if it's a paper with PhD candidate, a lot of the time it's come from their PhD, and it will be ready when they feel they are ready. So because I will not force them to do paper, they will just gonna tell me when they feel ready, and then I will just enhance whether do I think that, or the PhD panel, whether they think that they are actually ready. But most of the time PhD student in the year 2 would be ready to start crafting some papers. Or sometimes, let's say if it's a papers from grant project or business consulting project, with the permission from the grant body and business consulting company, we tend to do some articles, practical articles after we finish those projects.
Right.
Yes.
And how do you collaborate some of this research project with different partners, like not necessarily these are your students, but other fellow colleagues or people from different countries?
Okay, thank you for the question, David. I think that's a good one. So one of the way I do is, let's say when I go for do a conference, I'm a big fan of international conference. I think it's a very good way for young researcher or old researcher to connect with other people, to see who's doing things that you are lacking of, or to see who are doing things that you are, linked to your relevant area, and then you can connect to those people who come from other country, and that is a good way for me to start working with other people. Other things that I do is I might start within my own university or own school, and then I might try to see who are, say for example, if I want to do some work, say in AI, I might go and talk to the ICT people, ICT department, and then try to do some joint project together. And that is a good way to enhance and broader our research aspect to be like a cross-discipline. And then they might have their connection to link me to, their industry partner or something like that. Yes.
Cool. Very neat. In addition to writing, you also serve as a peer reviewer and editor for various academic journals.
Yes.
What do you like about this involvement?
Thank you. Interesting question indeed. So I give you an example. Like this week, I have 4 papers that I have to review from 4 different journals. Partly is because I'm the associate editor for 2 journals and an ad hoc reviewer for about 5 other journals. And some of the journal that send it to me because I'm send a paper to them or something like that. Sometimes it's honestly, sometimes it's getting annoying, but most of the time it's not that bad. The good thing about being a reviewer is that I get to learn what are some of the new topic that is in the market as well. I get to see some of the methodology that I may not be perfect in. And I get to see new theories, how it's been applied and practical. So basically, I learn from other people's work, and then I see what are they doing good, and then I try to enhance that on my own work, on my PhD student work. And we're also looking at what are the things that is shortcoming in those papers, and then I try to avoid it in my own work in the future. But to be frank, as an academic, we should be able to give constructive and meaningful feedback to other people, and expect the same thing in return when we submit the papers. I always tell myself and then my team that when we give comments, we want to give comments in a way that we want similar comment in return. What I'm saying here is that I'm not saying that we have to accept every single paper that we get to review, but it's more more like we need to understand that the opposite party are also human. They have a feeling.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
language that we use, it
Yeah.
should be kind enough. The
Yeah.
comment that we use, it should be constructive.
Yeah.
If we say something is not good, say if we
Yeah.
say that literature review is not good, we should
Okay.
be very clear. Okay, why it's not good? It's not good
Okay.
because of 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And what could be the potential solution for each of them? So
Right.
what I try to do is I try to give solution for anything that I see is not good
Yeah.
in the review. So that is what I try my best to do when I'm in a
Yes.
good mood, and then when I
Yes.
have time to work on it. But yes, so that's how I feel overall. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, most people want to publish in a journal, but not every paper get accepted. You know, some journals have acceptance rate as low as 10%. So what do you have to say to the people when they get letter from editor saying, thank you for submission, but sorry, we can't accept it?
Yes, that is a very good question. And I think it's most of us who are academic or people who want to try to publish will be able to relate ourselves that
Yes.
it is very normal for an
Yes.
A rank in an ABTC listing to have a exception rate of 10%.
Yes.
Or if you talk about very top journal that in FT40s, it might be even low, like 2% exception rate.
Yeah.
Now, myself, I must say that nowadays when I receive a rejection letter,
Yes,
sometimes I feel sad, sometimes I feel annoying, sometimes I feel normal.
Yeah.
But most of the time I feel a little bit sad for the team and myself.
Yeah.
Now, I think getting rejection is not a problem. The problem
Okay.
is about trying to find out why we got rejected.
Okay.
And can we overcome and fix those problems?
Mhm.
Just now you touched that we might have spent a lot of time on crafting paper and then submit, right?
Yeah.
I just want to say from the opposite side as well that the editor, not including myself,
Okay.
they also spend a lot of time, their volunteer time, to look at those papers, many papers, especially during the weekend or after 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So both party, actually all the parties spend some good amount of energy into it.
Yeah.
Now, myself as an author, when I was, let's say about 10 years ago, when I was just finished my PhD,
right.
One of the paper that I submitted, if I may say the journal name, Journal of Retailing and Consumer Services, that was a journal that it was my first time publishing that journal in an A category.
Yes.
The impact factor right now is like 10, so it's a very strong journal. My point is, there was one time that I submitted a paper to that journal. The paper that I submitted was bad. It was very bad. When I look back right now on my own paper, it was very bad, okay? And but at that time, I was very new and naive, and I thought it was good. But the point was, when I submitted, the paper did not get desk reject. It went to review, and when the reviewer sent the paper report back, obviously the paper got rejected. But one of the reviewers said, this is the worst paper that the reviewer ever read, and said this paper not even deserve to be a conference paper. So I felt very sad. By the way, there's no other reason. It's very short comment. But there were many reviewers. There were like 3, but this is just one of them. The point that I want to make is that I was so upset with this person being so personal to me. And I say, hey, look, the research was maybe not that good, but you know, they don't have to be that's
mean.
That's mean. Yeah, that's right. So that scenario teach me that I should not make other people feel the same like how I felt. So the way I give construction feedback should be good. And this is an example I give to my candidate, PhD candidate. And one of the things that was like I said, 10 plus years ago, long time ago. I want to enhance that the journal now is the review process is very good. You know, the editor are very good. But at that time when the paper got rejected, I said to myself that one day I'm going to become an editor of this journal. And one day I'm going to I will try to publish as much as I can in this journal because of that person who said my work is the worst he ever seen. And, you know, I think about 6-7 years after that, I became the leading guest editor for that journal for a specific special issue.
It's great.
And the last time I checked last year, I was the #1 most published author in that journal. So I have more than 20 papers published there already.
Wow.
But I must say, I turn the hate and anger that people shoot to me into motivation to
Positive.
make me become a better person, stronger person. Now, what
Nice.
I'm telling you here is
Yeah.
like, I'm not trying to show off or anything like that. It's
Absolutely.
more about like trying to learn from our mistake, see
True.
how we're going to make ourselves better. And
Yeah.
don't let anyone tell us we can't do something. Especially
Exactly.
when they said this is the worst thing they ever read. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I
Yeah.
need to make sure that I
Yeah.
will,
Yeah.
fix that
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So you already kind of gave quite a bit of answer about reverse feedback. So given the reverse feedback is very useful to authors, what advice would you give to a new reviewers, those who are just starting out, on providing helpful feedback?
Okay. Suggestion to reviewer. First of all, I think this is a good question. And it depends on the discipline that you are in.
Okay.
For example, in marketing, there are a number of journal, like leading journal, that they do like a training for reviewer
Okay.
from time to time. So I think it's
Okay.
good thing to attend those health thing.
Okay.
What I do, that I suggest to my PhD colleague or candidate is that I would tell them that the comment should be very constructive. Like we had to hit to the point, like, okay,
Right.
what is not good?
Okay.
What can be better? And
Right.
this is an example.
Okay.
So they can't just say this is not good. They can't just say the methodology is bad. There must be a really good reason
Right.
why it's not good, why it's not clear, why it's not being justified well, and then we should give example.
Right.
So I always try to say what is a problem, how to fix it, and here's an example of how to fix it. So I think this is a good way for me as a reviewer, for me to also learn that, okay, here's a problem, how I gotta fix it. And it's also good for the person who reading it, that they say, oh, this person actually spent time to look into it. I try to do this as much as I can if I know the topic. If I don't know the topic, I tend to reject the revision. But that is actually quite rarely, because nowadays, most of the editor that I work with, they know what is my topic area. So they just send those papers to myself, and obviously they have tons of other reviewer there. What I want to mention also to new reviewer is that try not to use emotion too much when you review other people's paper, especially in a second round of review. So for example, there might be, say, 3 reviewers in a paper. The author sometimes might have to choose to follow which reviewer comments, because sometimes some of the comments are contradicting. And I have came across where some of the reviewer got so upset that an author did not follow exactly what the reviewer suggests, because there are too many contradicting comments, and an author had to make a decision which one to go. So I have came across some reviewer just see that the scholar, or in this case the author, did not follow the comment, and they just reject the paper based on that. So this is sometimes it is not fair for the author. So if the author have a good reason and all that, then we could have a chat. Sometimes I notice some of the reviewers say, oh, the author spent just 1 week on the revision, we should just reject it. I mean, we should read the paper first, whether in that 1 week, maybe he or she spent the whole week on it, or just, So we need to be very constructive in our comment, and then try not to be mean if we don't have to. But of course, we should be fair to our job and to the journal. We should not accept anyone paper if it's not good, and we should not reject anyone paper without a good reason. So that would be my suggestion.
Thank you for your time, Park. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, David.